This is the Knock&Talk show, an Alio first responder veteran podcast, sharing some comic relief from the street.
Legal Squiggles in pursuit, military in Riverside, coming into the city. No vehicle description on a Washington plated car. It's incident 2130.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 32nd episode of the Knock&Talk show. We are still in season 2, and today we have our very first non-veteran, non-LEO guest. And I'm excited about this because he is a TV star. That's right. He has been on Forged in Fire. Forged from Fire? Forged of Fire? Forged in Fire. Forged in Fire. That's right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Peterson. Go by Mike or Michael?
Mike. Anything but late for dinner.
Well, we're going to make sure we don't make you late for dinner. So anyway, Mike, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you taking time out of your evening. The audience, if you will, or the listeners, my fan club of the Knock&Talk show, all carry knives because, you know, we were at one point either in the military, law enforcement, first responder, even the weed hoppers over there in the fire department. They carry knives. So tell us why I'm mentioning knives right now.
Well, as you said, my name is Michael Peterson. I am a second-generation bladesmith. I've been making knives pretty much my whole life. I started around the time I was 10 years old learning, started selling by the time I was 13, and I'm 37 years old now, so I guess it's been about 27 years. I grew up around knife making. My father is a bladesmith, and there we go, slam the wall. Take two.
Take two. Yes, 55 miles an hour, right to the wall. Yeah. So, all right, so second generation bladesmith. Now, quickly, if you will, because you and I, we know each other through Robert Garcia.
That's Dr. Robert Garcia.
Yes.
I have to throw that out there just to. Yes, I did that over on another podcast here a while ago. I just figured I'd just try to do that.
Yes,
Robert Garcia.
There's been studies. There's been studies for this. Anyway, we've been friends from a mutual group that Rob runs on Facebook, and until one particular day a couple weeks ago, when you were in the group discussing some knife stuff, you actually explained the difference between a bladesmith and a blacksmith, and I, being ignorant, thought blacksmiths did all things with metal and fire. So, educate the rest of us. What's the difference between a bladesmith and a blacksmith?
Oh, put me in the hot seat.
Only because you've done this before.
Yes. Well, a blacksmith can pretty much generally do anything because they do work with steel and different. You know, you got to know your metallurgy. That's a big word for me. The main difference is blacksmiths tend to focus on more of your working with wrought iron and mild steels, making like handrails to crafted. I don't know. I wish I had that.
Like banisters and
banisters and
okay.
Different tools that make it axes. More tool and also towards tools, hammers. I wish I had that candlestick holder I had. It was actually, you can make a lot of art stuff out of it. Stupid dogs are wrestling outside. Sorry.
I can't hear them. And I've got it going piped right in my ear holes. So we're good.
So that's what kind of general blacksmith do. They kind of just more, more, and there's different levels of blacksmiths as well. Okay. You know, you can make lanterns, chandeliers. There's higher end art. I mean, they're just like bladesmithing. There's many different levels of blacksmithing.
Okay.
And it just depends on what you specialize in. I got a gentleman I follow on Facebook from Ireland, and he's a general blacksmith. And that was the big term back then. General blacksmith was kind of a broad term. He covered, back in the day, he could make chains, he could make you axes, he could make you a hammer, nails on through. I mean, it just list after list. Now, a bladesmith is someone who's more focused on making knives, taking raw material, either they're forging it out forging the blade blank out, or they're stock removal, which you like a blacksmith, you need to know your metallurgy and your types of steel you're working with. They tend to work with more high carbon steels, especially like my case. I make Damascus. I also work with monosteel as well. It's kind of a change of pace for me after so many years of just Damascus. But I'll take two different types of steel, higher carbon, which is like, let's just say reference 1095 or 01 tool steel, which is a high carbon.
Yeah, we'll use that.
The 01 is the percentage of carbon. It's 0.01% carbon, or actually no, 1% carbon. I said that backwards. The 1095 is a little bit lower. Mix that with a different metal, like with the 01, I usually mix A36 mild steel, forge weld that together, fold that over like taffy, and that's what builds up the layers. When you finish out your blade and you have that really cool pattern, and there's tons of Damascus out there. Damascus is originally, the original form of Damascus was called woot steel, actually originated out of India, and then was later traded to, I believe, one of the, Persia at the time, and the Smiths and Sirius Damascus, and that's how it's got its name, Damascus, from there, because they ended up getting the formula and really working it from there, and it just spread out from there. At least that's what I was told.
Okay. All right. How long? No, it does. I mean, for a layman like me,
ditto.
Makes sense. But I couldn't go take a test right now and regurgitate what you just said. But what you said was, I understand. You take two types of steels and you blend them together and make sharp art.
Yes.
That's what you should call it. Sharp art.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. That's free. You can have it.
All right. So I hope that's kind of that definition I kind of gave out there between the dudes kind of.
Yeah, so from what I understand, I guess now blacksmith is kind of an umbrella, right? They can do all kinds of things generally, and they may specialize in one specific type of metallurgy. See, it's hard for me as well.
I would say more. Metallurgy is understanding the types of steel you got.
Okay.
The chemistry, basically the chemistry of the steel, I should say.
Okay.
Again,
that's then a bladesmith is more specific to working blades and not horseshoes and not banister rails and things like that. Mm-hmm. Right? Got it?
Yep. Okay. Granted, that little bit of bladesmithing, blacksmithing comes into play when you're especially making your steel and such. That's kind of blacksmith. So it's kind of tied in a little bit there, I guess you could say. But to divide the two, that's kind of more or less in a nutshell my definition, I guess.
Okay. So tell us, how did you get on Forged in Fire, and how long? I guess it was kind of a game show, right? There's like eliminations for you to like stay in or move on or get cut, whatever. So what was your experience?
And yes, you are correct. It is a game show. I want to let everybody know what you see in the show doesn't really reply to what really happens in life. It's made for TV.
Okay.
So the reason why I say that is I get a lot of people in my classes that like, I watched the channel. I think I got the idea of this. As well, hate to pop your bubble, but throw what you watched on the show. I'll show you what we do. How I got on that was my one cousin, Erin. I'm going to shout her name out. She told me about the shows on the History Channel, and I'm like, what's this about? And I'm all right. So about that time, I actually got just started getting cable again. So I started watching it and I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. I'm thinking, of course, watching it and watching the oops and shake your head. Don't do that. That's not how you do that. But she's like, you gotta try and put in for that show. And I'm like, no, whatever. So after about probably 6 months of prodding me, I decided, all right, I'll do it. I'll got online, filled out all the information. About a month later, I get an email. And they set up a interview. We went through the interview process. I didn't hear anything, for about a year, and then I started bugging them again because my cousin's like, "You need to get on there. You need to get on there." And so I did it again, and they came back. All right, yeah, we're going to re-interview you, update the files because I guess the company changed on production and such on the producer side, I guess. So they were updating their files and everything. We did another interview. Fast forward till that July of that year, I get a phone call, and the hitman, and the rest is pretty much history. So
From the History Channel.
Yes. Oh, from the producers who put it on the History Channel.
Wait a minute.
So they contracted to a company.
So the rest was history on the History Channel.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, I get it. I like this. Way over my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I meant to hit this button, and I missed it and went with the applause. But anyway.
Yeah, there we go.
So what season and what episodes?
I was on season 5, episode 37, The Bardiche. You can find it on Hulu. That. Now, I've been told on Amazon they have it as episode 38, so I don't know.
Okay.
I never really went to confirm. That's the 2 platforms I know you can find it on.
Okay.
I know it's on Netflix, but they started off at season 6, of course.
Of course.
And, cut me out of there and a whole bunch of other the awesome guys out there that I'm friends with. So
was each episode single elimination? Like it was just start finish, or how did that work?
Well, on my episode, it's from start to finish. You have your 4 Smiths you start with. You got your first round, and then they go into eliminations. They whittle it down to 3.
Okay.
One gentleman in my episode self-eliminated because it was just brutal. I won't go into a lot of detail because I want people to go out there and watch it and have fun.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's a great time to share with your kids and such. It was just brutal. I mean, it was a hot, miserable. It was 106 degrees, direct sunlight. We're outside. I'm giving you a little bit of spoiler here, but humidity, I think was around about 90%, 92% that day. And, we're not that far from the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm a high altitude desert boy. So I'm here in central Utah in the middle of nowhere. I'm not used to humidity.
Okay. It's a dry heat. It's a dry heat.
We're used to dry heat. Yeah, the dry heat. But it was, it was rough getting through that first day.
Where was it being filmed?
Up in Connecticut.
Connecticut. It got that hot in Connecticut?
It was a hot day.
I just don't
see. It was in August too, so.
I mean, I didn't understand the humidity, but when I think of Connecticut, the only thing I can think of is the fall foliage, right? It's like 80 degrees high at the hottest part of the year. So I just learned something.
If I remember correctly, I think we're only like 30 minutes from New York where we flew in. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a hot, boy, it was hot. But with, on top of the heat from all the 4 forges going on that day and everything, it's kind of trapped in there. No wind at all.
So was it one day of filming?
No, it was stretched out over 5 days. From the time of flying out, it take about 3-4 days to film there. To figure out who's going to go into the final round. So, and then once we got to there, we got sent home to our home forges. Spoiler alert! Yes, I made it into the 3rd round. So, came home and did our stuff. Yeah. Spoiler alert! So, like I said, I'll give you a little bit, but I won't tell you who wins. So,
yeah, don't do that.
But
I want to watch.
We came home, did that. We did 4 days here at the shop. I think from the day I flew out to the day I got done, it was 9 days straight. and I
Wow.
was done. I slept for almost a whole day the next day, and it was rough. I
Was
hadn't
it?
traveled that much since I was over the road.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, I mean, that is a lot of and travel can wear you out, even though you're just sitting there, right? But it's just it wears me out. Driving or flying, it's just exhausting. When you get where you're going, you just want to like take a nap.
I
That's no
got
fun.
home. I finally got home from when we elimination and went to do the home forge deal. I got home at midnight and I was up at 6 o'clock the next morning, had breakfast with my kids. And then by 9 o'clock that morning, I was right into it. So literally thrown into the fire. And
There
so
we
it was
go. I
it was
remembered
a
it
great
that time.
time.
Oh,
But
good.
yeah, like I said, you can check that out on Hulu. I think there's a few other platforms that are playing it and everything. But season 5, episode 37 of the episode's called the Bardiche, which is a pole axe.
Okay.
That's BARDICHE.
All right. Got it. I wrote that down. It's right here in my notes.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. So, what sort of sharp art do you? I know it's Damascus, but you talking about like kitchen blades? Are you talking about like swords? Do you do like battle axes? What is it that Mike Peterson crafts with his Damascus?
Well, I mainly specialize in what's dad. I kind of patterned off my dad's design, and of course, I've changed it to fit my personality. I guess each maker has his own kind of personality. It shows on the blade. It's called a drop point hunter skinner. For example, something similar to that. This is not Damascus. This is what's called a forge to finish
Okay.
blade. But it's similar to that, a little bit elongated design there. I'll make kitchen knives. I've just recently, in the last 2.5, I guess going on 3 years now, started making kitchen knives. Mainly spent a lot of years making the drop point hunters. I have made a few daggers in a few years. I'm working on a few swords right now. I'm actually my daughter wanted to make a sword. She's actually learning too. She's 13. Great article out that Rob shared out here. If you get a chance, maybe we plug that as too.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's 13. She started about the same time I did at 10 because she wanted. Well, she's always been coming in and out of the shop once in a while. It's been a long time when we started our knife classes with us, and then she started picking it up. Of course, she wanted a dog, and I said, like, well, if you want a dog, you're gonna have to make a knife and either trade your knife off for the dog or sell it and buy the dog. And oops, yeah, he's outside, and guess who got to take care of him?
Like any
So,
good father. Good for
yep,
you.
yep. And now she's got her eye on a Maine Coon cat. And so we're looking for breeders and everything else. Well, that's why you got to save up. She says, well, I guess I'm going to make a few more knives. Like, great, we're going to have another cat.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
I'm not a cat person. Not a
No,
cat
I don't
person at
mind them.
all.
It keeps the mice down. I mean, but hey, at least a Maine Coon cat are pretty cool because they can get up the size of a small dog. So 30 pounds. I've even seen them up to 50 pounds too on certain breed lines
God.
of it. It was like,
Wow.
now that's a cat.
Yeah, no, I don't know what that is. That's not a cat. 50
Miniature
pounds. It's
lion.
like a bobcat or
I
a
would
lynx
love
or
to have a bobcat if it was legal. But that's kind of what I do is that, and I do I do kind of, this is kind of a forge. It's got a forge finish along the back, and then a bevel ground into it. This is kind of a kitchen chopper.
Okay.
I'm like I said, I make swords. I'll make you pretty much anything you want.
Okay.
If
So
you're
you do
willing to pay.
custom orders.
Yes, absolutely. That's another thing I do. I specialize on custom orders. I've got a few that I'm working on right now. They're kind of similar to my general line, but some of them are skinners. I've made some butchery stuff. So yeah, if it's a knife or an axe or Yeah, I mean, I'll pretty much make it.
Okay.
If it's within, I should say, well, let me tell you within my skill set, I'll be glad to make that because there is a certain high end level of your more artsy knives. I haven't got into that yet, and that's my next step of pushing myself into the next level of doing the higher end cutlery.
So you're more in the function than the fashion.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Although I've seen Damascus knives, and I've seen some of your Damascus knives just in my due diligence for the show, and I mean that in itself, that metal is art.
mhm.
I love the way it looks.
Well, let's take the instance of one of my dad's mentors. He's passed away. I guess it's going on almost 20 years now. His name was Buster Warnski. He was literally a world renowned. Good God, here we go with the big words.
Renowned.
Bladesmith.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Bladesmith. He started out forging knives and such a little bit, and he was actually forging knives in somebody's basement using their coal furnace, opening up at the steel and working it. He transitioned from that. He was more into the stock removal, working with 440C stainless steel. Now, the C means it needed to be cryo dipped after heat treating. It was part of the process of hardening that steel. Sorry, somebody must be thinking about me. Nose itches. So he made some very beautiful knives. I mean, just as an engraving, they were art knives. They were, yes, some of your pocket knives, you could use them, fully functional. There's a couple of knives you got to look up. One's called Gem of the Orient, and then the King Tut replica by Buster Warnski.
Okay.
Don't ask me how to spell his last name. I can't think of it. But I believe the King Tut knife, I think he sold that for $1.2 million once it was finished. And
Wow.
Dad was telling me about a story about that. When he was making it, it was because of the gold composition had so much iron to it. It's the same way he made the gold the same way the Egyptians did. Had to like roughly 10% iron, if I remember. And when he was smelting and everything, I guess it blew up on him. And he had to spent a week scraping up gold BBs off the floor and everything and off the walls but it's a really beautiful knife. You get a chance to look that up. It's absolutely. He was kind of depressed. Dad said he was kind of depressed after that because he didn't think it'd top it. And about a few years later, he came out with what's called the Gem of the Orient. It has and don't quote me on this, I think around 80, 85 gemstones within the setting of the blade. It's just absolutely beautiful blade. He finished that. I believe that took him about 10 years to do.
Wow.
That's one of the gentlemen who was my dad's mentor. My dad learned Damascus making from Bill Moran, who was the founding and named the American Bladesmith Society. He taught my dad. My dad took a week-long blacksmith Damascus making class from him back when I think I was about a month old. About that time. So, and Jim Ents and Buster Warnski were my dad's main mentors in the business, and then pretty much it's history from there. So, yes.
Thanks,
got the right
folks.
button. Got the right button this time.
I'm here all week. If somebody wants to reach out, how do they find you?
Well, you can get on the website, www.mikesdamascusknives.com.
Okay.
You can call me. You get my number from there. You can just simple Google. If you're on Facebook, you can find me at Mike's Damascus LLC. Everyone's like, well, how come they don't have the knives in it? Well, we all know why. So, because, they're considered weapons and they don't like that name. So I had to put it something else. So you can find me on Facebook at Mike's Damascus LLC. And Instagram is Mike D Knives. And Twitter, I think it's Mike D Knives there as well. I've got way too much social media stuff. I'd rather just focus in the shop, but I've got to do
Right?
this social media
Yeah.
stuff too.
Yeah. Well, when you're a small business owner, you got to wear a lot of hats, right? You
Mm.
got to be the mail room. You've got to be the office administrator. You've got to be the accounts receivable, accounts payable. You've got to be the social media, marketing guru. You got to wear all
I
those hats.
do. I do have help on the marketing. I have a good friend of mine. She does a lot of it, and without her help, I wouldn't be full time. I
Mm.
took a class from the county was putting on a free class to small businesses and such, and I met her through there and become pretty good friends. And she's helped out. And I want to shout out to Mallory. She did really good, and she still deals with me, unfortunately. Thank God for her, because there's days like, hey, can you just do this? Well, what do I put? Here's the information. I'm going to go back and grind. So a lot of help there from her.
Oh, that's good.
And a lot of
It's nice to have friends in both high and low places.
yes. And I got a few friends that come in the shop. A buddy of mine, he's down here. He actually took my knife class a couple of years ago, and it's we've become good friends. And he's been wanting to make knives for a lot of years. So he comes down pretty much every weekend now to help me out in the shop. We're getting ready for a show in Texas, and so yeah, I got a lot of people in my team there. My mom makes all the sheaths. A lot of our knives come with sheaths. Mom makes the leather work because mom knows what she's doing. We don't. My dad used to make his own sheaths.
Yeah.
And they were horrendous. So
stick with what you know and what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, as they say. Stay in your lane.
Yes. Even Dad will tell you they were horrendous as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of a nutshell. I think I probably veered off squirrel. I'll go squirrel left and right on here. So
that's okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we just chase rabbits here, and sometimes they take a left in Albuquerque, and we got to go chase that direction.
So. Oh, and I don't want to go through that place again. I
Albuquerque?
think yes, or just the state of New Mexico. Them roads suck. I think I'm just going to cut across Colorado and do a little, and then drop down through Kansas and Oklahoma, because we're heading to Belleville, Texas. There's a big show going on there called the Texas Select Show. And I think there's going to be around 50 of us. It's geared for guys who were on the show, guys and gals.
Okay.
The makers who was on the show give us a venue for basically just knife makers. Then we'll be displaying and selling knives there. There's competition. There's going to be some live forging events. Some
cool.
auctions.
When is that?
That is the first weekend of April, and I believe it's the 1st and 2nd of April this year.
All right. So that would be the year 2023. So yes. For those of you that are watching this episode in the year 2045, you missed it. Sorry.
Yes. Well, it's an annual show, so hey, hopefully.
Okay.
And hopefully it keeps on going. So
I sit corrected.
I think this is the 3rd or 4th year.
Okay.
Since it's been putting on, except for the pause in 2020. But yeah, it's a great show. The Cowboy, his name's Cowboy. He's also a bladesmith who was on the show. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Don't even. Just the Cowboy.
Cowboy. Phoenix
in
Knives.
Texas, there can only be one cowboy, right? I mean, just going, hey, there's the Cowboy, right? That's the right one.
That's his nickname, Cowboy. Phoenix Knives is his shop, so big shout out to him for putting that on. We went last year. We did really, really good. Definitely going to go back this year. So had a great time. So
good.
This time we're taking the rifles with, so we can do a little pig hunting on the way back. So.
Okay. Are you going to do some helicopter pig hunting?
I wish I might do her night hunt. The helicopter is a little out of my price range at the moment, but
okay. Are you talking about Brandy's?
Yeah, we're thinking about maybe we're gonna wait till we get a little closer and then check her out. There's a few other people I know down there that's got ranches and such that kind of give an invite. I mean, heck, we could just pull off the side of the road because we were heading back to the hotel and here comes a whole herd of pigs. So I'm like, well, I guess we could grab the Bardiche out and go down there. I'd love to hack one up with that.
So for those that don't know who we're talking about, Brandy Rector, I believe she was a Marine Corps veteran or is a Marine Corps veteran. And I'm looking at her Facebook page now, but she has a helicopter hog hunting business in Texas. Brandy Rector, look her up if you're out that way and you want to go.
I think she's out of
Suey
Oklahoma.
killing. Is it Oklahoma?
Yes, I think
Look.
it's like what is it? 2 hours north, 2 or 3 hours north of Dallas Fort Worth. I think it's just barely over the Oklahoma Texas state line, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on it. So.
Yes. Valiant, Oklahoma. So the name of the business is Sky Hunter Outfitters.
And that looks absolutely fun. I'd love to.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list to go pew
And
pewing from
I do
bird.
believe they provide all the rifles and the ammunition.
I think they have to.
Oh.
Yeah, I think just for safety reasons, you can't. They don't want you bringing your own. That way they can control.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, don't need any cowboys out there.
Oh, come on!
I'm gonna hit that button a lot tonight. I found it. I know where it is.
I believe there's not only the helicopter, but I do believe they offer a night hunting too, about 3-4 hour.
That'd be BA.
Night hunting.
That would be totally BA. Put on.
Oh yes.
Put on the MVGs. Go pew 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 pew.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I was checking it out. I was looking at the pricing, and it's like, okay, well, I know what I'm saving up for my birthday, so maybe I can
sell some knives at the show, my friend. Sell some knives at the show.
Yes. Hey, if I can sell out, we took about $15,000 in knives. No, it was about 14,000. Sorry, in value worth of knives. We sold half of that last year. So,
well, good for you.
Knock on wood, we can do that good again. If we sell it, yeah, definitely.
Good deal. What is your lofty goal? What is sort of your unicorn that you want to make, that you want to smith?
Oh, that's well, there's so many.
Something like the Jewel of the Orient?
I'm not much of an I don't really do engraving myself. I don't have the patience. I would say probably I got it. A batleth, clean on batleth, full Damascus, forged completely out, not stock removal, a full size clean on batleth. Yes, I am a Star Trek nerd. I'm not one of those that go to the conventions all the time. I'd walk around and go, do it to check it out. It'd be cool, but I'm not going to dress up. But I remember growing up watching Star Trek Next Generation with Dad. I'm actually in the house I'm in. I grew up till I was 8 years old. So I remember every Friday night we're parked out front there at 10 o'clock watching the new episode of Star Trek not DS9, but that too.
Next Generation with Jean-Luc Picard.
And I'm watching the season 3 of the Star Trek Picard now, and it's absolutely awesome. So, yes, I'm one of those weirdos. So, yeah. We're not Star Wars. That's Star Trek.
Isn't it Trek with an E?
Yes, Trek.
Okay. All right. Enough of the crickets. Yeah. No,
I don't mind. I don't mind Star Wars. I mean, the original. Before they did the remake.
Before Disney ruined it.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember growing up watching the original with my father on, was it Sunday night? I can't remember. Anyway, he wasn't like a huge fan, but there were very limited options in the 80s of things to watch. Like cable wasn't everywhere. Yeah, cable wasn't everywhere. So we would watch, and I'd watch Kurt. What's his name?
Kurt. William Shatner.
Yeah, William Shatner's character in it, and all my Star Trek friends are probably throwing stuff right now because I can't remember. Captain
James Tiberius Kirk.
James Kirk. Yes.
Or Jim. Like Jim for short.
Damn it, Jim. A doctor.
Dad.
Anyway, I wasn't a huge fan, but I watched it.
I was in high school when that first came out. So junior, junior high or whatever they called it back then. There was literally only 2 schools at the time. He'd watch that, and back then they had the big old antennas on big poles.
Yep. Yeah, you know what the remote control was?
Yep. Same here. We we didn't have remote control until we got the big Xena.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I remember we got a TV that had a remote, but it was on a cord, and the cord only went so far, so the cord would sit in the floor, right? I would still have to get up and go hit the clicker for Dad, me or my brother. I remember that.
Yeah, and I'd say the clean and batleth. There's a few other weapons I want to make. I just haven't got around to it. Still trying to build my brand. But yeah, I would say a full Damascus clean on batleth. I think that's like 36 inches wide on the back blade. The inner blade, I can't remember. I got all the dimensions somewhere. But it's going to be a difficult because you got the inner blade, the outer blade, and the handle, and then you got the inner blade, and then it's got the connection points that are going to have to be forge welded together, and that's going to be interesting. So, yeah, exactly right.
Right? Yeah. Just
Google it. Just Google it later.
Okay.
I
feel like we're watching, or I'm watching an episode of The Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon is trying to explain something to me, and it just
that's funny. I didn't. My ex-wife kind of liked the show, and I didn't when it was first on and everything. I'm one of those that comes to the show late. I kind of enjoy it now watching it because my daughter likes watching it every now and then, the reruns and such. When it was still on air, it's like, yeah, I don't think so. But now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I guess this show is worth watching.
yeah, it's pretty funny. At least the first couple seasons, I enjoyed it. So all right, so let's talk about a little bit of TV. Growing up, besides the Star Trek with an E, what was your favorite show as a kid? The one that you just had to go sit down in the living room and watch.
Does it have to be a TV show or a movie?
It could be a movie. Yeah, if you had it on VHS and hit the rewind and watched it till
I would say Howard the Duck. And batteries not included. You mentioned those two names around my siblings. They dread and no because every time we went to, we're dating ourselves. We actually had to go out and rent movies from a store, a VHS, which is really funny. When my daughter was like 4 or 5 years old, she comes out of the basement with one of the VHS tapes and says, "Dad, what is this?" And I explained to her, and she's like, "You're old." And she was 5. And I'm like, wow, ouch. That's when I first felt it. It was like, ouch, I guess I'm getting older.
Howard the Duck. Where is this? Cleveland.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, if you haven't seen Howard the Duck, you have to do it. Yeah, it's just
rite of passage.
Yeah. It's hysterical.
I literally rented that movie so much from the video store, rental store, that they had to buy a new copy. It was. I would have to say, actually, there was 3 of them. There was the documentary, "The Gunsmith of Williamsburg," which is really great. You can get on YouTube and put in "Gunsmith of Williamsburg," Colonial Williamsburg.
Okay.
Then it was "Battery Not Included" or "Howard the Duck."
Battery's Not Included. It was a good one.
Yes, it was. As a TV show, growing up and everything, I would say probably, again, Star Trek, Simpsons, definitely The Simpsons, and later on Family Guy. So
okay,
and then and then Satellite came out, and we had this thing called the Comedy Channel. And then we found South Park. So
right, yes. Yeah. I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up because Bart Simpson said, "Eat my shorts, man," and that was just too far for my parents to let me watch. Eat my shorts, man. Can you imagine if that was the level of censorship for parents these days?
Oh Lord, you couldn't watch nothing.
You couldn't watch it. Yeah, you couldn't watch anything, much less South Park.
Well, I mean, when you look at some of the comedians of the past growing up and everything, they try to come out the day they wouldn't. They'd be
no.
Robin Williams.
The other day, Yes, yeah. What's his name? Richard Pryor.
Yes.
Potty Mouth
Oh,
Central, right? Um,
yes.
any Mel Brooks movie, any Mel
Oh,
Brooks movie
yes. I grew up on those two.
would never make the big
Mm-mm.
screen today. Couldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, yes.
That was
I
a
see
good
your
one.
Schwartz is as big as mine.
Oh,
I
that
love
was.
Spaceballs.
No, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, poor John Candy.
Yes, yep, I remember watching him.
Poor
Uncle
John
Buck.
Uncle Buck. Yes,
Yes.
one of my all time favorites.
Like I said, I
All-time
was born
favorites.
in '85, so on the little later end, but I do remember watching those movies when all
The
that.
Great Outdoors.
Yep.
Here's one for you. It probably came out the year you were born. Armed and Dangerous.
Yes, I remember. It's
John
been a while since
Candy and Eugene Levy. For those that may or may not know that name, if you've seen Schitt's Creek, that's Eugene Levy, and the father for American Pie, that franchise.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Eugene Levy.
But yeah, that American Pie. I remember when that came out, and it's kind of funny to be on like Netflix. Flip through. Oh, hey, check this out. Look at the year.
Yeah.
Damn,
Really?
it's been 20 years.
Man. Yeah,
It's funny that I can actually say I've been making knives for 27 years. It's like, oh, so.
Yeah, once you start saying, "Oh man, I remember that," and you realize 20 years ago, you remember that 20 years ago, you're old.
Yeah, it's like,
And I've been doing that for 20 years. Just saying.
So, I'm like, I'll be like 38 this year, and I'm like, holy shit, 2 years from being 40. Sweet. I mean, getting older,
Shut
it's
up.
like.
Last
That's
week,
funny. Everybody
was
says
48.
What's that?
Last week was my 48th.
Well, happy birthday, late belated
Thank
birthday
you.
there.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just weird. It doesn't bother me getting older. I've grown up watching some people I've known that really bugs the crap out of them. And me, it's like, screw it. I ain't getting out of this world alive anyway, so
No?
just won't enjoy it. I'm just glad that when I turned 30, I had like 2 gray hair on my 30th birthday. I woke up that morning, washing my face up and looking at my goatee at the time. I just had a goatee then before I grew out the beard. I looked in the mirror, like, what is that? Gray hair. And about that time, Tim McGraw's song, My Next 30 Years, started playing. I about lost it, laughing my ass off. Then I get a phone call from my mom a few hours later, and she's like, well, how was it? I was what? Turning 30? I'm like, okay, I guess. I was kind of going through a divorce at that time. Like what they say, get married in your 20s so you can be divorced and happy in your 30s. I'll testify to that. But not really a goal thing, but yes. Mom's like, well, why? He says, well, I'm fine. Why? He says, oh, well, your dad had a meltdown before he turned 30. So I just seen if you had a midlife crisis too. It's like, no, but that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, 30's not midlife anymore. That's like 45, 50. So I've either passed
I
it
wouldn't even
or it's
say
around the
that.
corner. I can't, I'm not sure where it's at.
I'm looking forward to when I turn 80 because that's when I'm going to try cocaine for the first time. So, I figure when I turn 100. Well, hey, you got to have life goals.
Write it down. Write it down.
When I hit 100, I figured why not just get in the hooves and everything else. Why not? I mean, you made it that far. Goals, people. Goals. I don't endorse doing drugs or anything like that. It just like comes up in conversations like, you know what? 80 years old, I'm going to do a line off a hooker's butt. And so why not?
For the goal.
Yes.
For the goal. Yes.
Throw away, you two.
Oh, goodness.
So let's get back to Blade. Let's go back to Blade talking.
Let's.
We
took a left turn in Albuquerque there for
yes.
sure. Yes.
Oh boy, did we ever go down the spiral hole?
I've got doing my notes here. Where can we go? What can we do?
Well, let's throw out the article that Rob came out and done on not only myself.
Yeah. So you are a second generation.
Yes.
Smith, and now your daughter is going to be the third generation.
Yep. Well, technically, she could be kind of considered a fourth generation because my grandfather dabbled in a little bit of knife making. He was my grandpa was kind of a jack of all trades, but master of none, I guess you could say. He was excellent at making carvings. Made a lot of toys for us. He would take and bore out bar stock into making little pistols. I've got one in my. I should have grabbed that. He'd bore that out, and made a little pistol, muzzleloader pistol. You remember the old paper caps? You know, the old cap guns, bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
Yeah, we're dating ourselves again. That's what you'd use on there. You know, you have your little touch hole. You put the cap over, and a little metal came over it, and a hammer come back, and you pull the trigger and hit that and set it off. Yep. He made a lot of those. Made a lot of. He was a farmer, trapper, and everything else, and blacksmither. I've actually have an anvil in my shop that has been in the family probably around 5 generations so far.
Wow.
So,
wow.
At least from the 1800s, at least from there on up. But yeah, my daughter's 13 years old. She started playing around making knives about 10. That's when she wanted got really serious about it. I told her, well, I guess if you want a dog, and buddy of mine raises healers, and she's like, you know what, I want a healer. So they, I said, either make a knife and sell it and buy it. And he's like, well, I'll take a knife for your dog. He's a knife collector, big time knife collector too. A good friend. He helped with my business in the early start as well. Is Cameron. Shout out to Cameron there. So I was like, all right. So I didn't think she was going to do it, and she did it. And 3 years later, we got a healer, and he's an asshole. I'm not going a good asshole, but he's an asshole. He's great, and then he's a smart little. God, it surprises the hell out of me. I've had a lot of dogs, and I would have to say he's probably one of these top 3 smart ones I've had. Maybe a little too smart because he knows how to spell. If you say the word ride, he goes absolutely nuts. I was on the phone one day and I spelled it. It was spelling it out, and after that, he caught on. So if you say R, he just loses, and he'll start shaking. You say I, and he starts shaking more, and then on from there. But I'm teaching her right now. She's working on a few knives that she wants to sell because she wants to make a little bit of money to go on. So when she has spending money to go, it's like, I want money to go buy stuff. So, well, you know where the shop is, get to work. We're currently just forged out a sword. We were going to work on it yesterday, but she was not feeling so well. I get her every Wednesday for a few hours and every other weekend, unfortunately. But so we're working on that, and she made a knife. We went to Blade Show in Atlanta, Georgia in 2021. She made a few knives. I was like, it's like, hey, they've all said that you can make some knives you want to display, and you can, because it was a group booth of guys who've been on the show.
Okay.
So she did. She made 4 knives. Yeah. Anyway, so we there was some professional photographer that does photos that all the magazines get from. We put a couple of my knives in, a couple of her knives in to be photographed. And she was out of that group of 7 bladesmiths, myself included, with probably nearly over 100 years of experience combined, was the first one to sell a knife during the first day of that show. And
good for her.
Everybody was like applaud there on that, but
good for her.
That knife was actually featured in what's called the Knife Catalog of 2003. So she's in that. And probably the consensus is I don't know how we confirm it or not, is probably the youngest ever featured in that catalog as a maker.
Wow.
So she's 13 now. She's got her other hobby. She likes to sew. She likes riding horses and such. So far, boys are still icky. Thank God.
Keep it that way.
Yes.
Keep it that way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I figured I got to test. The only way they can date my daughter is if they can make a better knife than me. My daughter walked out. She's like, threw something in the air and says, well, I guess I will never date then.
That's pretty funny. I mean, got to have metrics, right? You got to meet certain goals. You got to meet certain criteria. I mean, it's important to set that standard
Yes.
so she understands where that measuring stick is.
Yep. And then she knows where my shovels are, and they're sharp, and two caustic, two lime. Rest is history.
Attention small business owners, Facebook group owners, or anyone looking for customized social media graphics or short branded videos. Check out the Faulkner Endeavor Group, our parent company, and the sponsor of this episode of Knock and Talk Show. You can find us here at fegroup.io, and we do branded videos for product release, for anything, as well as social media graphics. We also do presentations and promotional ads and really anything in the digital graphics space. And if you mention this video and this episode of the Knock and Talk Show, you'll get 20% off your very first order. That's right, 20%. That's a lot of cheddar. Again, check out the Faulkner Endeavor Group, find us here, and let us know what you think of this episode. Thanks, folks. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next time. And that's what happens.
Speaking of which, she actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but I posted a video that she sent me. Some guy, daughter meet boy, bring boy home, big fun. Next thing you know, he shakes his hand, and then he pulls out a pistol. And like, no, dating for the first time. It's funnier than hell. She's like, this would be so you. And no, Dad, and big capital letters after this would be you. No, Dad, I am not dating. People are icky still. We're like, okay, well, good.
Good. Yes, need to keep it that way.
Yes.
So, 13 years old, featured in a catalog. First
Knives catalog 2023 knife catalog. I don't have that handy right at the moment, but
that's still that's pretty amazing. Good for her. Now, is she going to be selling her knives separate from yours? Is there going to be like a little competition there in the family?
I would really look at it as competition, and even among us other bladesmiths, we kind of try to build off each other as much as we can, even though we're trying to yes, we're trying to move our own product and everything else, but we kind of like I guess use the word synergy, build off. I mean, each one of us makes different ones. I usually, for right now, we just kind of, where she's underage and everything, and keep it a little control of just focus, feed it through mine. I mean, hey, she outsells me, more power to her. If she gets to a certain point, it's all right. You're going to start buying your own steel here and your own stuff. So, but I'm basically doing what my parents did with me. And so it's up to her if she wants to stick with it or not. I mean, we're working on a few other projects besides the knife business. We're actually been working on for the last 2 years a themed restaurant, a steakhouse that we want to build. We're getting closer on that. It's a bladesmith, blacksmith themed restaurant. So basically, when you come in, look in the building, it's going to look like you're pulling up to a shop, a metal shop type thing. But and our decor is going to be, different tools throughout the history.
Sure.
Different hammers. I'm hoping to get some photographs of old blacksmith shops and bladesmith, and then even some of my buddy shops and such as well. We're going to do live forging and making knives. We got a stage. We got to set it up. We're going to do a stage and do events like that. Also live music. My daughter's like, well, Dad, this is what we do. This we gotta make two sides. I'm like, what do you mean you got to make two sides? And she was 10 years old at the time. Just when she came up with this. Well, Dad, we need to have a family side, family only. That's their dining area. And then we need to have an adult side for a dining area. I'm like, why? And at 10 years old, says, Dad, there is just people want to go out to dinner and not listen to somebody's kids scream in the corner. And I'm like,
this is a true story. So let me help. I don't know if I want to use the word solidify or validate.
Yes,
validate her stance on this. So me and my patrol sergeant would go out from time to time on shift to have dinner, and he'd say, "Hey, meet me over here." We'd walk into the restaurant, and the host would be like, "Hey, table for two," and he would say, "Yes, and as far away from other people's children as possible."
Yes.
So she
I
is
actually,
correct. There are people that just want to go sit and eat and
I
not be
got
bothered.
I got a funny story. Buddy of mine, another gentleman who fan of the show, met him through because of the show. Bought a few knives, quickly became friends. We're pretty good friends now. He's an over the road truck driver. He's from Tennessee. He stopped. He runs through my area, so they were down there. We'll catch up, have dinner, and help
All right.
pick a knife up that he ordered. We were at a restaurant and we're sitting there, and there's this family. Got dad's over there holding the baby with this look on his face, like, do I just down the bottle of pill? I mean, just this look of totally beaten down guy. I'm letting there like, and I was like, well, I know who runs the family, and he's over there just holding the baby, and the mom's over there, and then two other kids are just, oh my god. Finally, they crawl around mom. Mom's sitting up just enough to let the kids go out, and they're running across the whole damn restaurant. And the waiters are ducking, and I'm sitting there, and I'm trying. I'm waiting for my dinner, and I snapped. I was like, Mike, I looked at her and says, do you have any respect for anybody else in this restaurant and the
No.
staff? What's that supposed to mean? Get your kids in the booth and keep them there. She gets all huffy and puffy, and they've been in a car for 8 hours. How do you expect a child to go sit on the grass outside? And it was a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
All right, Karen. Take the kids outside. Let them run
Yes.
around crazy outside.
Yeah.
Then when they're tired and hungry, bring them back in, and then everybody can eat in peace.
And she's like, "What? Well, what do you expect me to do?" I says, "I really don't care. Control your kids before there's an accident." And then one of these waiters, they coming out with hot, sizzling food,
Yeah.
and I'm panicking. I've lost a child, due to a drowning accident. Everything. We can go in that another time. And I was like, I don't want to see a kid get hauled off an ambulance here, getting because of third-degree burns because you're too stupid to be a parent. And and it's just like,
parenting issues is a whole another story.
Well,
podcast. We could go weeks.
It gets really funny. Finally, they move and they go. Well, the host, the people that own the building know who I am. Of course, I was sitting there watching, waiting to get kicked out. And I looked over the guy's wife that owns the place, saw who it is. She just rolled her eyes, put them in a different spot. And about that time, the food came out and the kids settled down, and they went to pay and everything else. And it was like, I guess when they paid out, it's like, do you think those two gentlemen are going to follow us out in the parking lot and hurt us? And she looks over, and the gal was at cash register, looked over, saw who I was. She just rolled her eyes. She's like, no, that's the least person you've got to worry about for doing that. Oh, I don't know. They just look just absolutely mean people. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, you big meanie.
And
meanie.
And then we've seen where the license plate from, and it's like, we're like, oh, yes, that one state. It shall be named.
Yes, California. I'll say it.
Yes, there you go.
I'll say it.
Oh, dude. I mean, I've never yelled at somebody else, but my God, I mean, one waitress came out, big sizzling hot food, and it's like, I snap. So yeah, so I can understand. After that, I'm like, now I know why my daughter says that. We need to have two different things. So that's how it's. We're planning it. We're still in the business planning stage to be able to go pitch at the banks and get funding. We've got a piece of property. We're looking at a piece of property. It's big enough to not only do the restaurant, but the new shop, and then hopefully the distillery later on. So,
all right. That's a lot going on there, my friend. A lot going on.
A lot of iron, as they say, a lot of irons in the fire. Thank you. Be here all week.
Yes, folks. Don't forget to tip your waitress, but just the tip.
That's what she
all right.
said. Can handle the rest.
Jeez. I might as well just have this thing on repeat.
That's what she said.
Oh God. Okay. All right. We're stopping right here.
Oh, and we will have those. That's what she said stickers available here soon. There's a big story behind that, and the word Suber as well. I mean, that's a funny story too for another time.
Okay.
That was a great weekend. That was.
All right. we'll have to rebook for that one because now my interest is piqued. However, there was a promise that I made to you at the very beginning so that you would not be late to dinner, and I don't want to be late either. It is still technically Mardi Gras.
For my dinner time, so.
Oh yeah, you're way out there. No, yeah. So this is technically still Mardi Gras time frame. Like Fat Tuesday was a couple days ago.
That's what she said.
But anyway, we've had a theme all week this week for Mardi Gras Cajun themed dinners. So I'm excited about tonight's. I believe it's going to be red beans and rice.
That's one of my goals, to get to Mardi Gras one of these times.
No, don't go.
That's what everybody keeps telling me. Don't go. It's not worth it anymore. Damn.
No. It's not. It's just. I mean, it's not safe. It's not fun. Don't go. You can go to Bourbon Street. You can go to New Orleans.
That's mainly the reason why I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can go do that. Just don't do it on the night of Mardi Gras.
Okay,
it's just
noted.
It's just not worth the trouble
and
the
haunted
expense
tours and such. That looks awesome.
Yeah, so that's fun. And you know, if you're out and about in the great state of Georgia, where I am, and you find yourself down in Savannah area, or as I like to call it, Slow-Vanna.
Beautiful country, though.
They have a ghost tour, a pub crawl ghost tour.
Ooh, well, I couldn't have done that because I had my kids. We actually drove out to that year, 2021. We did a family trip, and we drove to Atlanta, Georgia for a Blade show, and then went out to Savannah to visit some friends there. Took the dolphin tour. Took my kids on the dolphin tour.
Out on Tybee Island.
Yes,
or St. Simon's, which probably
Tybee Island. Tybee Island, I do believe.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, you're about to hear what I call the extra music because I heard the dinner bell ring.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah. It's about that time. So anyway, Mike Peterson was our guest tonight. Bladesmith extraordinaire, Damascus Blades. You can find him in all the places that you will find. Where's it? Right here. They'll be down there. Look for Mike Patterson. I'm going to pull it up so I can read it off and not screw it up. On Facebook, look up Mike's Damascus LLC. On Instagram, Mike D Knives. And Mike'sDamascusKnives.com. Mike'sDamascusKnives.com. You may find $1 million knife hiding somewhere in the pile of knives. So, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a great time learning about you and knives and some of your stories, and I hope you enjoyed the time as well.
Oh yeah, I'll be glad to come back anytime. Maybe next time we get the daughter on as well. So
that would be interesting. Yeah, I'd like to see, maybe show off some of her work, and maybe help sell some of it for a small commission. Very small commission.
Hey, you know what? If you want to sell knives, I don't care. I mean, I'll send you some knives. You can sell them, put on what I'm talking about. But if you want to check out some of her work that was featured in the Knives Catalog, it's the Knives Catalog 2023, put on by Blade Magazine.
Blade Magazine. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening to the stories. Let us know what you thought. Stay safe. And
everybody's sleeping right now, I bet.
Yeah. Or I don't know if you can hear the crickets over the music, but anyway, folks, stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel, and we will catch you next time. I
expect postings of your food now because you got me curious. So I'll be watching.
All right, stay tuned.
The Knock&Talk Show is a certified veteran-hosted podcast. Show your support. Tune in, share, and subscribe.